Welcome to Godzilla-THON. The reviews are drawing to a close with Shin Godzilla, and I just watched Monster Planet. I'm gonna sleep on it before posting my review. This film is a case of history repeating itself. In 1998, there was an American attempt to remake Godzilla. Didn't do so well. Godzilla 2000 was rushed into production. Came out, I found it disappointing. 2014, we get this gem of a movie. 2016, this comes out, and I liked it better. I'm not going to go too much into the plot for this one because it's pretty politically heavy, but I am going to go over some things. They find a boat in the beginning of the movie, which turns out to belong to a scientist named Goro Maki, again, who, as we find out later, his wife died from radiation poisoning and he wanted to rid the world of nuclear waste. This film focuses on the government's inability to deal with the crisis, and I'm sure venting a lot of frustrations from the earthquake that hit Japan a few years prior. And in our own history, it strikes a chord with Hurricane Katrina because our government was totally unprepared for that. Once the first signs of Godzilla show up and he evolves in this, we see staff meetings and they're all offering theories, but we can't make a bold statement like this without proof. There's one point where they're mentioning the creature can't come on land and having a press conference. Well, while they're having that press conference, Godzilla comes on land. And the guy's more mad than anything. You should have given me more concrete facts. And again, I like how it focuses on all the red tape in politics and emergencies. There's one part where Godzilla's in his second form, I believe, and they're going to attack him, but because an elderly civilian hadn't been evacuated, they hold off on the attack. And we get that. Now, when Godzilla does show up in his full form, we get some cool attack scenes. I mean, the stuff with the tanks is the best it's ever been. Disappointingly, Godzilla's CG Suitmation is, I hate to say it this way because I love it so much, but it's become old hat, and the fact that Toho did a fully CG Godzilla is kind of sad because to me it feels like the death nail of Suitmation. I know it's always going to be around, but when Toho's doing Godzilla CG, you know it's never going to be the same again. But, go back to the film. It also focuses on the international geopolitical thing. Other countries are having to say this woman comes in and she's the daughter of a senator and she's into politics. She plans on running for president in her 40s and she's half Japanese and she's helping with the crisis. The US government has vested interest in Godzilla. I'm not going to go into too many details because this one is new enough. I don't want to spoil it. And this movie, I want to say too, if you watched it the first time and you were a little disappointed, this movie really benefits from multiple viewings. The first time I saw this movie, did not like it. Second time, it got better. By the third or fourth time, wow, this movie is awesome. So just keep that in mind. This film benefits from repeat viewings. Now, the Prime Minister is kind of slow to rise into action, and it's just more of the political commentary. There's one scene that I like. It kind of makes me chuckle, but after Godzilla retreats to the ocean because his second form, can't, he'll overheat quickly out of land. There's protesters protesting about save Godzilla. You may look at that as kind of odd, but face it, if a zombie apocalypse ever happened, which we know ain't gonna happen, but you know there would be liberal snowflake zombie rights activists. So that it does make sense, because if this really happened, I could see people protesting the destruction of the giant city destroying monster. The prime minister gets killed, but we do get a nice point where the American military's helping attack Godzilla, and they drop MOP-2 bombs, which is massive ordnance penetrator or something like that. And it actually makes Godzilla bleed, and this triggers the atomic breath. And this scene is just horrifying. Godzilla first spews a more traditional atomic breath on the ground, and the flames go outward. Then the flame focuses and becomes a thin purple beam. And he even has beams coming out of his dorsal spines. And this beam just goes through Tokyo, cutting skyscrapers in half. The Hattori clock tower cut in half. And just the city erupts in a mass of flames. The next few scenes cover damage control. Prime Minister's dead. They appoint a new one who is the Minister of Agriculture. He got the position just because he was his seniority. There is one funny part where he gets his noodles. I knew this job wasn't going to be easy. Noodles have gone soggy. Some people like to criticize him for this, but I take it as he's just he's under so much pressure. He just stepped into this job in a full crisis, and to him, that's just a moment of levity for him to catch his breath to bring up, noodles have gone soggy. And they start to formulate a plan to go against to stop Godzilla, because at this point, he generated so much power, he's gone in a dormant state. They even find Godzilla has like a built-in radar system, because when they fly like remote control drones to him, they cease functioning after a while. They come up with this coagulant plan. Meanwhile, the UN and other countries are wanting to nuke Godzilla. The one character, and I'm not trying to get into too much plot, but the one character, she gets her father to buy more time, and he's a senator, and he brings up, do you realize if this goes south, that you're named the Patterson name, this and that? He goes, I can handle the fallout myself, but this could ruin your dreams of becoming president in your 40s. And he's not trying to talk her out of it. He's just basically letting her know, if you make this stand, this is what you could be in for. Is it worth it to you? And she leaves with his full blessing. Now, when we get to the scene where they attack Godzilla, the trains finally get their revenge. Yeah, the trains get their revenge. They load the trains with bombs to crash them into Godzilla. And when this scene begins, we get a speeded up version of a classic Ikefube scene. This whole offensive scene is my favorite military versus Godzilla scene in the franchise. It's so well done, edited, it's fast paced. They're attacking him with drones, they're hitting him with guided missiles from Arleigh Burke destroyers. They're blowing up buildings and dropping them on him. And the whole thing is to get him on the ground so they can pump the coagulant in his mouth. I got to admit now, every time I go to the dentist, whether it's for a cleaning or a filling, after seeing that thing, when they stick the water thing in my mouth, I think about the coagulant with Godzilla. And this scene is just so awesomely well done, the editing. In fact, our main character, and he wants to be the prime minister in like 10 years. He chooses to lead the operation from the hot zone, and we see this one great scene with the platform they're on and the photons discharging through Godzilla's spines, and we see them in the sky in the background, and Godzilla even starts shooting a photon beam out of his tail at the planes. Ultimately, the plan works. They freeze Godzilla, and we get a few moments of just the fallout, and this ends on such a positive note because this is a pretty dark movie. It shows the displacement, and we see these are resilient people. They're gonna move on. The one character learns the deadline to launch a nuke on Godzilla has only been paused. If he becomes active again, they will launch the nuke. They even discover his isotope, that the radiation, within 3 to 4 years, it'll completely dissipate. And I love the point in the one line in it, and this is a statement about nuclear energy and all that. The main character at the end mentions where we are just going to have, the whole world is just going to have to learn to live with Gojira or Godzilla, and they use the two names interchangeably in this film. I kind of like that, and in future movies, they did it a little bit in 2014 as well. I'd like to see that as a precedent in future movies where Godzilla and Gojira are used interchangeably. All in all, a very strong yet shockingly different entry in the franchise. I totally get it if you don't like this one, because it's not for everyone, but this one is the one that really signified to the world Godzilla is back in a big way. 2014, then this, two franchises coexisting, and then the announcement of the anime. This is the triple threat era. 3 franchises started at. It's just an awesome time to be a Godzilla fan. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. And after I sleep on it, stay tuned for my review of Godzilla Monster Planet. Over and out.